Hi guys, this is SJ Masterclass. You're listening to me and Kat. I am an ER nurse, a lifelong reader, knitter, and dog mom. Kat, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Kat. I'm an ER nurse. I'm a knitter, baker, reader, and I'm a cat mom.
We wanted to make an encyclopedia with the biggest and best book club in the world, which is all of you guys, all the SJM readers. And this week we're going through chapters 6 through 10 of ACOTAR. We're going to discuss characters, themes, theories, ideas. We're going to cross-reference things in our Google Doc. And eventually that's going to become our encyclopedia. So hearing that, no, this is going to be spoiler heavy. This is like 400 level literature class. Be prepared.
Each episode, we're going to start with a brief review of the chapters that we are focusing on. Then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details of the chapters. This podcast will be extremely spoiler-heavy for both ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, that entire universe, and potentially for Sarah J. Maas's other works. So listen at your own risk. But we hope you join along. And Rev, why don't you get us into it and give us a deep dive of chapters 6 through 10?
Yeah, chapter summary 6 through 10. So we get to Spring Court. It's so exciting.
The place.
We meet Tamlin finally in his Fae form, and we meet his bestie Lucien. We meet the housekeeper Alice. Lots of chatting about the treaty, which we talked about last episode. We're going to talk about it again a little bit more this episode. Some plan is afoot that Tamlin and Lucien know about. Feyre doesn't. She kind of like... what's the word when you go and listen to people when they don't, you sneak up on them? Eavesdrop, yeah. Feyre learns she's safe at Spring Court and she won't be attacked. We learn about the terrible magic blight and the masks and the Masquerade Ball that happened 49/50-ish, almost 50 years ago. Feyre worries about the blight reaching the human lands. That propels her to want to get to be friends with Lucien, and that gets us to chapter 8. Like, also, what's the point of this chapter? It's kind of boring.
Sure.
Feyre starts to formulate that plan to get home, and that includes befriending Lucien. She's going to try and trick Lucien into talking to Tamlin to help her get home. She steals a butter knife from the dinner table. She finds a little satchel in her room in one of the drawers, I think, makes a go bag. She sees these things in the garden that are giggling at her. And chapter 9, we get to know Lucien even more because she starts going riding with him. Their friendship forms. This is the start of the Lucien and Feyre friendship. We hear about the Suriel for the first time. Feyre and Lucien go on border patrol together, and she rides again the white mare. In chapter 10, we meet the Bogge. Feyre stares out the window, awaiting Tamlin's return from fighting the Bogge. And she sees her dad. And that's where we end at the end of chapter 10. So, Kat, do you want to start getting us into some details? Where do you want to start?
You know what? I wasn't going to start this early. Let's just spend the first hour of this. Let's just talk about Lucien. I have so many thoughts. Okay. Do you want my biggest thought? Or do you want me to just... I think he has the biggest character arc of the entire series.
Thus far.
Nope. Period.
You think in the end,
Yep.
he's going to have the biggest character arc.
Yes.
Say, how so?
I think... So I have thought... For the longest time, I have made references, and I know we've talked about it, where I'm like, I just feel like A Court of Thorns and Roses is Pride and Prejudice, because Feyre is so prideful, and Tamlin is so prideful, and they both got prejudice against one another. No. I think the Pride and Prejudice is Lucien, because he is the one who's like, you're just a human. Human. He talks smack about them. They're nothing. She's silly. He never talks bad about her specifically. He just talks about humans.
He does at one point, actually, I'm going to interrupt you. He does at one point in time say, if it was up to me, I'd just have him kill you.
But she killed his best friend.
But it was planned. That's a different topic. Go ahead.
Different topic.
Lucien's arc. Continue.
So we have Lucien, who is like, come hunting with me. I haven't been with humans in years. I want to hang out. I want to see what humans are really like. And to Silver Flame, where we have Lucien is not only working with the humans, he is living with one of the human queens. We find out that he is Helian's son, who is a spell breaker. I think his book is going to be the second to the last book, because Elaine's is going to be the last. It is going to be him and Vassa. So this character who in book 1 talks about how much he dislikes humans, how much he distrusts humans, to not only working with them, but ending up with one. Very similar to how Lorcan and Elide ended up together. I think he's going to do a when you die, I die to Vassa, the human queen.
Vassa is the one that's with Jurian and that throuple that they have going.
Yes. And she's the one who turns into a bird. I think Lucien is going to come into his powers as Helian's son, who is the spell breaker, and break the spell that has cursed her.
Break a spell.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, but cursed her as in cursed her, that's why she changes to a bird?
Yeah, remember?
No, I don't remember at all.
You're like,
I don't remember at all.
Korsky has, so if I recall, the other human queens give her to Korsky because she's the one who's like, guys, I don't think we need to be.
Oh, she's one of the human. Right. She is one of the. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he curses her or puts a spell on her or something that turns her into a firebird by night or by day. And the other, like whatever it is, like by day she's a bird, by night she's human, or vice versa. I think Lucien is going to come into his powers, come into his Helian powers, and break the curse. But it's going to take him a book to figure out who he is and accept who he is to be able to do this. So I think he is going to have the biggest arc, because not only does he have to get over himself, he has to accept a human as the love of his life.
And then this is what is going to, I mean, we already don't think that he's going to end up with Elaine, but he's trying to pursue that at this point in time. But like...
Right, because he doesn't know.
I mean, he doesn't know that he is going to be with Vassa, or he doesn't know who Elaine's with?
I think he doesn't know he's going to be with Vassa, because SJM has said in ACOTAR, you can reject a bond. I don't remember where it said, but it is said.
Right. But like also, I don't think that he is bonded with Elaine to start. I think Elaine is the one that's trying to reject a bond.
Now, I've heard the theory that he saw that Tamlin and Elaine were bonded.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that he said, I'm bonded to her to save her from Tamlin. I don't think that's true, because that's a lot of work when they're in the night court. He still keeps the charade going. But...
So you think he actually is bonded with Elaine?
Maybe. Yeah, sure. Why not? I don't know. I think he is going to have the biggest character arc. And I think his book is going to be about him and Vassa. I also think... I've got a whole...
Then what happens to Jurian?
I mean, he's like 500 years old. He was an eye for like 450 years. I don't know. Let him do his own thing.
Sure.
Do you think him and Vassa are going to get together? That's the worst pairing ever.
I mean, they've kind of been hanging out for a while.
So has Lucien. And I was going to say, we do know SJM has dabbled in thruples, because she did write the infamously unseen Azrael, Nesta, Cassian chapter that we have all sold our souls.
No one can find.
We've all offered her our firstborn children and our souls, and she has said, or her publisher has said, no. I also think there's a couple of things that happen in these chapters where I'm like, do you know what? I think in another world, Lucien would be friends with the Bat Boys, and I think he'd be one of the TOG cadre, because he's the one who's like, we should fight her. Let's stand up. Let's do something rather than just wait for this curse to happen. Go for your pin.
SJM is also known for having a person not fall for their first love. Their first love. They end up liking somebody and then going off and being with another person, and that's their end game. So that could be Vasa and Jurian, but then that's not who she's supposed to be with, so she ends up with Lucien.
Sure.
That would track in SJM, stereotypical SJM writing. Also,
So then yours,
go.
I was going to say, so then that would mean that that book is being written in Vasa's perspective rather than Lucien's.
Not necessarily.
Which would be fine.
I mean,
That
it
would
could
be-
it could still be Lucien's perspective, but it would still follow a very popular theme that SJM includes in her books, which is a person like somebody, and they don't end up with that someone because I think that really connects with humans in general. Like, how many people end up with their high school sweetheart? My brother, sure, is
Well,
one,
but
and they have a kid
also-
together, and they've been married like a million years now. But like, that doesn't happen to everyone. It's never happened to me. Didn't happen to you.
Right. But also, at the end of the day, ACOTAR is about human and fae relationships, human and fae interactions.
Oh wow,
Yeah. I
That's
feel like
good.
that would be a great way to tie it up.
that's really good.
Yeah.
While we're on while we're on the topic of Lucien, do we remember how he loses his eye?
I do. God.
How did he lose it? Because
he
Tamlin
says-
is the one that helps him get the replacement whirly eye, the swirly whirly eye, if you will. Swirls and whirls. Let's
will.
go there.
I will.
How does he lose it? I forget.
He talks something bad to Amarantha, and Tamlin isn't there to protect him, and he loses the eye. She takes it from him. That girl loves her an eye.
She loves putting things in rings.
She does. Do you
Does
think
his
she
eye
has
end
his-
up in a ring?
I was gonna say, do you think she has it in a ring? We never see it if she does, but I think that's what happens. Is we learn later on in this book that because we learn in these chapters he said something he shouldn't have, and Feyre says, Tamlin did this to you? And he was like, no, Tamlin did not do this to me. But we learn that he said something to Amarantha. Tamlin was not there, and she took his eye.
Amarantha, dude.
She is a piece of work. I can't wait to meet
something.
her on this reread.
Especially going in with as much deep dive as we're doing in preparation to meet her. Oh, we're going to be so much better prepared to meet her.
But also comparing her to Maeve. I feel like they are very similar track characters. The evil female character who has a relationship or has a interaction with the main male character.
Not in my notes, but like SJM, the way that she writes female characters are always so powerful. Throne of Glass, Aelin, Crescent City Bryce, ACOTAR Feyre. Also, some of our biggest bad people that we interact with that are not just in the distance, the biggest, baddest people that we go up against are also females. SJM is so pro-female, whether you're bad or you're good. Females are powerful, and
Yes.
SJM writes a good, powerful female.
I was
Go.
going to say, Rhys, who is our hero of this trilogy, is bound to Amarantha, the way all of them are, but he is her whipping boy, for a lack of a better idea. Rowan,
I want Rhys to be my whipping boy.
Rowan is bound to Maeve. They're both tied to these female evil characters because he swore the blood oath to her.
But here's the thing that we need to pay attention to. If these things are repetitive and we can't even figure them out until we like talk them out on camera and it takes 15 minutes to get to the bottom of it. But can we have something predictable about how ACOTAR is going to end up? Can we have something predictable about how Crescent City is going to end up? And what I think the answer is no. While she might have some things that she uses, the tools, author's tools, to make her represent femininity in very powerful ways, is she also going to use different outcomes in these stories so she's not predictable and still have powerful female characters, but have them overcome their issues and their struggles in different ways. As in, with Throne of Glass, we only see Aelin like fall through. With Crescent City, we see Bryce go back, and then we also see Nesta and Azriel interact. So like there's going to be different end game plots. There's going to be different plots that get these characters to where they need to be. The female is always going to be powerful, but I think we're going to get there in different ways. Just because she has used some tools in some of the books and they are similar, it doesn't mean that the outcomes are going to be the same. And I trust that SJM is just going to take us on a trip that we've not even expected with this next ACOTAR book that's coming out, ACOTAR 6. Pin, go.
I feel like we are seeing the reverse. With ACOTAR, Amarantha dies in book 1. Maeve in Throne of Glass is the one that is through the whole 8-book series. I think you're right. We're seeing these strong females, but we are seeing like, what would happen if she was already dead? What happens if she dies really early? Because the trauma from her is what the rest of ACOTAR is about. With Throne of Glass, it's what happens when she dies at the very end. Go for your pin.
This is what I was saying about the main characters and the story having different paths to different outcomes. While we're starting out in some similar places and we have some similar relationships, and we're seeing these themes of like class, racial issues like Fae versus humans, and hunger and poverty, right? Like Aelin starts out as an assassin, but she's super poor and has to kill people for money.
Sure.
Feyre starts out poor. Bryce doesn't start out poor, but she doesn't start out as like this super successful, powerful being. We see a lot of these same themes, but I think one of the things that's great about SJM is the way that each of these characters are going to find their way to the end of their story is going to be different. And that's what keeps it exciting. That's what makes you want to keep reading. It is not a Harlequin romance. A Harlequin romance book just follows, it's like a cookie cutter neighborhood where all the houses look exactly the same. SJM is not that. She's brilliant. If that's what you signed up for, if you want a quick beach read, grab an old school Harlequin romance. It still stands today. You sit me down back at home at Florida with my mom and my sister. I'm on the beach with an umbrella because I live in Portland now, and so I'm like super pale. But I could read a Harlequin romance, but like that is not what SJM is going for. She's going for maybe a lot of people start out like most of us females in the world start out. Not with power, not with wealth, starting from basics, and they fight and claw their way there. That is not a cookie cutter Harlequin romance.
Right.
They all are going to find different paths to where they're successful. And I think it means that SJM is writing like as if this shoot for the stars. You never know how you're going to end up or what your path is going to look like or the obstacles that you're going to come to. They're going to be different paths. And I love that because it's not cookie cutter. And I love that we all get there with our effort and our struggles.
Yeah, I agree.
I was just going to say my second reread. Did I tell you I forgot about the masks?
You did.
I forgot about the masks. I was on page 72 and was like, oh, that's right. They all have masks.
I don't know how you forgot. It's like half of the book.
I know.
Half of the book.
I know. I forgot about it. I just wanted to point it out. Go ahead with what you were going to say.
No, let's talk masks. Just the fact that, like, even Feyre's like, why are they wearing these masks? It must be like some fashion thing. No. It's not.
No,
but I love
it's
it.
The whole content of the book, the blight, Amarantha, the Masquerade Ball 49 years ago. It's just, one of the major plot points of the story that I forgot.
In your defense, the first time we read this book, for the first 65%, we were like, what's the plot? What is the point of this whole thing?
Also,
what is the point of the masks?
We read ACOTAR then Crescent City, then Throne of Glass. We read 16 books, 4 or 5 of which are like almost 1,000 pages.
Sure.
In like 2.5 months.
But it's so important. But I have a lot of thoughts about the masks, so I'm glad we're talking about them.
I'm so glad I brought it up. Please go.
A lot of times when you are looking at literature with masks, you can see they're meant to deceive, they're meant to hide, they're meant to also identify people. Like in this world, Lucien is the one that has the fox. No one else in the Spring Court has a fox mask. No one else has Tamlin's mask. It's also meant as, like, in literature, transformation, right? Like you take the mask off and you're transformed into something else. But I really love the idea of these masks being symbolic of hiding the reality from Feyre. And they're doing that. Tamlin is hiding the reality of the Spring Court from Feyre. She is being...
By hiding all the people.
Yes,
also.
Hiding the people who work and live there. We are hiding the reality. At one point she says, this place is so peaceful. I didn't realize that the Fey worlds would be peaceful. It is not peaceful. They are living in terror of this blight. And once that is stopped, they are in war with Hybern. She never has peace in this world outside of this little moment in the Spring Court. It's masking who Tamlin is. The Tamlin of the masked Tamlin is not the guy from 52 years ago. That's a different guy. It's also a different person.
I mean, we don't know him 52 years ago.
No, but we learned, like, they're all kind of at that cusp of desperation.
Right, right.
But
they obviously were all different 50 years ago.
Right.
You're right. They were all different.
Right. But then we also take that comparison and let's spread it out to the rest of the SJ universe. We have masks in Throne of Glass, where Selena and Dorian meet each other for the first time in one of the balls where they're both masked. And Sam is like, let's go. And she's like, I want to dance with this really hot guy who happens to be
I want to dance with that hot guy.
Who wouldn't? But he's also her childhood friend. Like, they don't know each other because of the masks. Their identities are hidden. She wears an iron mask in Kingdom of Ash, which takes away her powers. We see the masks again.
The iron mask.
Oh, I can't wait to get there. But we also deal with masks in Crescent City with Day and Night, Rune and Lydia, masking themselves. Right? Like, there's this idea of masks is in all of her things. SJM has said she has another series that she's writing. We're going to pay attention to the masks. Who's going to be masked in that series? Go.
I love masks. This is not so much SJM. It is romantasy and Fey romance in general. Always
Yes.
a masked ball. It's kind of a similar trope to... There's the sticker that I had on my old journal that was the one bed hotel or something like that. It's like basically the idea that, like, oh, we're going to have to stay in this
one
room.
bed in the
it's
end.
the last room that they have. And there's only one bed. I love these tropes. And it's kind of like how some people are, if this isn't happily ever after, I don't want to read it, which I am not that girl. I am waiting for that one book series that wants the not happily ever after. I that one series that I want to be broken in the end. But it doesn't matter. We fall into these tropes because we love them. And SJM utilizes these tropes in such a vast amount of ways, like the iron mask. Yes, there's a masquerade ball.
Yeah.
There's also the iron mask in Throne of Glass. And then Crescent City, there's the masks of Lydia and Rune, like you were saying. Like, she utilizes these tropes in ways that are not just washed up. I love it. I'm here for it. Write more.
She kind of flips them on their head, where she's like, okay, I'll give you your masked ball. Now what happens if I have a spy ring and they are masked? And he's the villain, or she's the villain, and he's not. It's not even he's the villain, she is. Sure, I'll give you masks. They're all masked. We learn I think it's really interesting that Lucien is the fox. For the longest time, I was like, oh, it's 'cause
Crazy
he's
like a fox.
right. For a long time, I was like, oh, it's because he's the autumn court. And I think they have foxes. Maybe not. But no,
In
it's
autumn?
because... Right. But I actually, now that I've said that, I think they're the winter foxes. Remember the little ice foxes?
Yeah, but his mask is
Is-
red and gold.
Right. Because it's
Like
his
a
colors.
regular fox, not a winter fox.
Right. But he's also clever. He's also wily. Again, why I think he would fit in with the cadre and the Bat Boys.
I mean, he kind of does a little bit. They kind of take him in the future.
Eventually, but even
So
through...
that proves your point. They do.
Yeah,
They do
sure,
kind of
yeah,
take him in
yeah,
and
yeah,
trust
yeah,
him.
Yeah. And yes, you're right. Well, we're right. Because Reese is like, no, I have
You're right.
trusted... because Reese has trusted him to take care of this stuff in the human worlds. That is a huge assignment to someone because you are the lone fae in this human world.
Our representative. You represent
He's the
all
emissary.
of us. So
right?
do right. I mean, also that makes sense because that's the only reason he's at Spring Court is he's the emissary
Right.
to Spring Court.
Well, that's not the only reason. He can't go back home is the only reason.
But like that's how he ended up.
But that's his job. Sure. That's his job. Yes.
Do you want to say anything more about this? Because I could move us forward if you don't have anything more to say about this.
Move on. Move
Okay,
onwards.
first of all, page 53. I know we said we weren't going to use that many pages, but Lucien, it's still on Lucien. There's a nod to Night Court.
Oh.
He tells Feyre about just past halfway down, your eyes are like stars. The stars.
They're
That
not
was one
like,
thing I just wanted to bring up. I love it.
They're not like roses. They're not like flowers. They're not like anything Spring Court.
They're not like the sun. They're not like the dawn. They're not as pretty as the beautiful sky. They're not as pretty as a green meadow. Her eyes are like stars.
And I think we get a couple of more Night Court inferences in these chapters. When she is being dressed by Alice, originally Alice brings the turquoise dress, and Feyre thinks,
Yeah.
I would
I know
never
where you're
wear
going.
this.
Yep.
She pulls out a dark blue tunic. That is not Spring Court colors.
That is not
Court
Spring Court
are
colors.
green and gold and ivory. The next day, she brings out a purple so black, or so close to black, she doesn't know the color of it.
Yeah.
Why those two colors? And then
Why are those
again-
even present in Spring Court? But like
Right.
they are because Feyre, they have to be there because it's just the foreshadowing where Feyre's going,
Right.
where her end game is going to be.
And then we see it again when we meet the Bogge in chapter 10, I think is when we meet it. Chapter 9, actually.
Chapter 10.
Chapter 10. She starts, Lucien tells her, think of anything else. Don't look at the Bogge. Once you acknowledge it, it becomes real. So she starts thinking of things.
Yes.
The first thing she thinks is a night sky. The second thing
I
she
saw
thinks
that.
is a summer sunrise or something like that. A night sky, Rhysand. A summer sunrise, Tarquin, the man who she said, I could love you, versus the man that she says she does love. Where's the Spring
Tarquin
Court?
could never be Rhysand.
No, but Tarquin could get it.
But I mean, also Summer Court. Who doesn't want to live there?
Also, he sends out big rubies as threats. Okay. I'll be Amryn in this situation. I love a good big ruby.
That is a hard flex. And also you're like, so if I'm really mean to you, you're going to send me a bunch of big jewels? I kind of want to be
Oh
mean to
no,
you. But also,
not this gorgeous necklace. But at no point does she think spring.
No. I mean, no.
No.
It's always the night and the stars. It's always
always
Rhysand.
there.
It's always gonna be Rhysand. I want to talk about the thing that we have to talk about with people when they are reading ACOTAR for the first time. When you read a book, the first 25% is the hook. You don't really know what's going on. You kind of figure out what's going on. The second 25% is building of intensity and plot, and a lot of things happen that you don't know what's going on, but it hooks you in even more, and we get those twists. Then the next 50% to 75% is an increase in intensity, and things start getting really stressful, and that's when it gets to like page turning and you can't put the book down. And then the last 25%, you get resolution. When I explained that concept to her about how books are written, and then I said, ACOTAR isn't really like that. ACOTAR is the first 25% of a book, and you have to imagine that the book is 5,000 pages long.
I was going to say, this is a story. This isn't a book. When you come into ACOTAR, you have to view it as, I'm reading a 3-book story. You can't watch you can't watch Fellowship of the Ring and say, well, that was a great movie. It ends on a cliff. Like, it's a trilogy of movies. This is a trilogy of books. And so many of the romantasy genre is because we have to do this world building. We have to do this character building. We have to do this. Why are we here? Why are we here and not in Louisiana? Why are we here and not in New York? Oh, we're in Prythian because of the curse, because of humans versus fae, because of Hybern, because of all of these things that do not work in our world.
And so when you explain that to someone and you're like, just get through it, I think that covers what you need to tell people that don't get to, is it the end of chapter? No, it's the end of chapter 20 and chapter 21. If you can get to chapter 21, I promise you will not stop. You won't be able to stop, because you know what happens at the end of chapter 20, beginning of chapter 21.
I don't remember specific chapters.
Calamine.
I'm excited. Okay, don't spoil it.
This is spoiler heavy. This is 400 level literature class. If you're watching this podcast, you've read already. If you can get to Calamine,
But that's 10 chapters from now. And we are we're still in Red Flag Tamlin. In 10 chapters, I want to know how we go from Red Flag to we're all rooting for you, Tamlin. Because we all were rooting for him.
There's a TikTok that I've seen. Maybe it's AI. I don't know. Maybe it's real. It's of a girl getting like Tamlin tattoo on her arm or something. And I was just like, how did your girls not warn you? How did nobody say anything? It's probably AI. It's probably not even real. But it's also like, it's a defining post of how we all feel when we finish this book. And it's like, we were all so pro Tamlin. And then looking back, we're like, this is how our girlfriends get in the toxic relationships because we're so into it. And then looking back, we're like, I see all of the red flags. I saw them then, but I was like, no, but it's a book hero. He's gonna fix that. Maybe he just needs to be better, and he's gonna learn how to be better. He's gonna learn. It's gonna be better. This is a character arc. This character is gonna be better. Maybe he does be better, but it's not in book 1, and it's not even anything until even finishing book 5. Well, if you consider Frost and Starlight a book and not a novella.
Sure. But so let's start talking about Tamlin then. If we're talking about him here, like,
do it.
There's a lot of red flags. He has complete power over her and has power over who she sees. He is limiting her to Lucien, Alice, and the 1 or 2 servants that come into her room. He is consistently half shifting with his claws out. And at one point, it's on page 71, he asks her, do you have a problem with me? Absolutely she should. Absolutely she does. He has kidnapped her, taken her from her family. He has used fear to control her, and he has power over her, over what she sees.
As readers, we think Harlequin romance, right? We are going to have this character grow and he's going to become this great guy. And maybe that happens, but not now. But like, there are so many times, even when she's like eavesdropping on him in different places, we start to hear about Beauty and the Beast plot, right? It automatically just shows that he's even talking to her for the wrong reason. He's not in love with her. He's just trying to break the curse. I mean, he kind of ends up, I guess, in a weird way, toxically in love with her, with how protective he gets of her, but it's still toxic. But like, it doesn't even start out that he loves her. But that's kind of how romances start, right? Like, again, reiterate Pride and Prejudice. We don't love each other. We hate each other. Enemies to lovers. And that's kind of a trope that everyone loves. Enemies to lovers. But he's not the enemy to lover. SJM flips that around on us. And we end up realizing, like, we love enemies to lovers. Aelin and Rowan, enemies to lovers.
Sure.
But Tamlin and Feyre are not enemies to lovers. Is SJM opening us as women? Is she opening our eyes and being like, enemies to lovers is a great trope, but it's not always that. So don't always fall for it. Be smarter. I don't know. Like, do you think? What's your pin?
Well, my pin is when you said he's toxically in love with her. I don't think it's toxically in love. I think it's, I had her first. It's, this is my toy. I get to play with this toy. Nobody else gets to play with this toy.
Like, as in a flex against Rhysand, or just as that this is mine?
I think just as in this is mine. This is my human. Go find your own. Because he's very possessive of her. To be fair, Rhysand becomes very possessive of her too, especially in Silver Flame.
When she's pregnant, dude, the way he acts when in that book.
Yeah. But again,
it's so Tamlin-y.
Different perspective. That's in Nesta's perspective.
But SJM has... Also, SJM has once again made us fall in love with a guy who gets a little bit toxic.
Right.
She's also, really good. God, she's so good.
Lucien and Alice both refer to the mercy that Tamlin shows. It's interesting, like, how much of a red flag is it when his best friend, the people who work for him are like, he has so much mercy, he's letting you live. Yeah, it's a red flag, but there might be a balance that we're not seeing. This might, like, that might be one of those kernels for the redemption arc.
Okay, I see where you went with that, yeah. What about, let's talk about, if we're already here, the toxicity of Tamlin. And like,
sure.
So here's, I'm looking at my screen and looking at my notes. I'm just going to read them aloud. We keep hearing Lucien and Tamlin discuss something. There is a plot afoot. Feyre eavesdrops, and they're Fae. They have to hear her. But they continue to talk about it in these very elusive words and phrases. But we don't know what the plot is yet. Again, we learn it's going to be Beauty and the Beast. It's Fight Club. You can't really talk about Fight Club. You can't tell Beauty about Beauty and the Beast. She has to get to that conclusion on her own that she loves the Beast. We start to see Tamlin woo her. We realize he really does end up liking her, but that kind of plays into what you were just saying. Does he really like her, or is it, this is my toy, it's not yours, I found her, go away, this is mine? He starts out just faking it for the B&B plot, and that is on page 61, where it says something like, Lucien pointedly cleared his throat. And then we know Tamlin like rephrases everything, and he's like, oh, he kind of recomposes himself, and then he tries to be nice to her. I want to talk more about the plot, something that I brought up a little bit last week, and I'm going to bring it up again now. They keep acting mad about Andros. the wolf. They knew it had to happen, and they planned it, right? On page 72 to 77, we get into more depth at this. I sent him to search for a cure, Tamlin says. The curse stipulated it could only be broken if a human girl. She had to hate the Fae enough to kill one. It had to be unprovoked. Then eventually she is going to have to declare her love for Tamlin. So Tamlin sends his wolves, his fighters, his sentries, whatever, out across the wall, hoping that one of them would be killed by such a human with hate in their heart. And it had to be a female. And that would eventually set the events in motion to break the curse, not the treaty, but the blight. But also he had to know that if she killed a Fae to break the curse, it was also going to be effed up because of the complications that would overcome that because of the treaty. But also it kind of locks in the fact that he can pull her away. The treaty gives him permission to pull her away.
Right.
And put her in a situation where they can be toxic and he can force her to fall in love with him. So there's all these like overlapping plot theories that get Feyre into Spring Court. But why does Tamlin keep acting like they are angry at her? And even at one point in time, Lucien says he would gut her, and that's on page 86. But he also wants the curse broken too. Why are they mad at her when she did exactly what they wanted her to do? They set her up, they set Andrus up to do all this, and everything is coming out how they wanted it, and yet they act so pissed off at her. Why? Please talk about your pin.
I think Lucien is angry because at one point she's leaving, he and Tamlin are arguing, and this is where we see Lucien say something along the lines of, we should stand up to her. I think it's on page 54. This is where he's like, we need to take a stand. And at some point he says, Andrus should never have been out there. None of them should have been. I think Lucien has been against this plan the whole time.
So does Lucien just want to keep the masks on then?
No, I think he wants to fight Amarantha. I think he wants to find another solution, but Tamlin is like, there's no other way. We have to break the curse the way that this curse has been set. But I think Lucien is mad. We get big mad from him in chapters 6 and 7. Mm-hmm. He calls her a Fae killer. He is labeling her. Tamlin is the one who's like, don't do it. Keep your mouth shut. I don't even want to say what happened to my friend Andrus. I think Lucien's anger is real. I think Tamlin accepts the losses for what they are. It's like when you are in war, you know there are people who are going to die. Tamlin accepts those deaths. Lucien does not. And I think that is why eventually Lucien will change to the Night Court side, because he understands that Rhys takes those deaths to heart. Tamlin does not necessarily take them to heart.
Tamlin is just like, that's got to happen.
People die
for the sake of the cause.
Right. People die is Tamlin's thought. This is what has to happen. A Fae has to die to make us get rid of the masks and for us to get our powers back. Lucien isn't willing to let someone die for that, is the way I interpreted the text.
Lucien is so good.
In this read, I think he's my hero for this. I want to keep an eye on Lucien.
I love that. Anything you want to talk about, or should I go on to my next point?
Go to your next point.
I would have lived up to my namesake. This is on page 69. She talks about poverty interfering with her being able to live up to her namesake. And then at the end, I don't want to copyright infringe. I hope this doesn't get me in trouble, but I want to say this verbatim. Beauty didn't mean anything in the forest. Is her namesake Feyre, as in Freya, the Norse goddess of love, beauty, fertility, war, and magic,
Right.
major figure in Norse mythology, or is her namesake, as in Beauty and the Beast, right? Fight Club. Is
Sure,
it
could be both.
beauty didn't mean anything in the forest? Is it both? Does SJM like double this up? She could have lived up to her namesake Freya, and she could have lived up to her namesake Beauty, but Freya is all of these things that Feyre is not. And beauty doesn't mean anything when on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you are just fighting for food.
Right.
Is she trying to live up to beauty? Is she trying to live up to Freya? I don't know. Like that made such a big point that I just wanted to bring it up and get your thoughts.
I think even here in this beautiful place, she's not here to be beautiful. Because if I recall, she is talking about this because she pulls back from when Alice wants to put flowers in her hair. And she's like, I'm not the girl with flowers in my hair.
I'm not that girl.
That's Elaine. Elaine is the girl who will have flowers in her hair.
Yes,
It's not
girl.
Feyre. And I think Feyre's like, that's not me. I'm the one who's out hunting. And I think it's, even in this beautiful place, I'm not going to be the person you think I am. I can't live up to this name you want me to be.
She doesn't think that she's Freya, not Feyre. Feyre is Feyre. She doesn't think that she is Freya. She also doesn't think that she is Beauty in Beauty and the Beast. And you know what? She is both.
And she's also not both.
She is not both in her rebellion to just say, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be who I am. But in the future, she ends up being both. She is Beauty in Beauty and the Beast. She fixes everything. She does end up fixing the curse. And also, she is a goddess of war and beauty, love, fertility, war, and magic. She is both. She is Beauty and she is Freya.
But she does break the curse, but she doesn't end up with the beast. She ends up in another court. I mean, unless you argue that Rhys is the beast. But
no one ever said that.
Well, he has the monster form, but she doesn't stay with the beast of this story. She goes to another court.
But she ends up being Beauty, who breaks the curse, and she does end up being Freya, the goddess of all the things. So it's just interesting that she's like, I would have lived up to my namesake. Honey, you do. You live up to both of them. She gets there. I love it. I love it. What's your next point?
This goes back to the masks now that I'm thinking about it, because we learned that the masks happened because of a masquerade ball in honor of Tamlin and his shape-shifting gifts. We learned so much about Tamlin in this book that are like red flags where you're like, you're throwing a masquerade ball in honor of yourself? Can you imagine Rhys throwing a party in honor of him just being him? Like, it's so mind-boggling that, I don't know, I just wanted to put that out on the pod where they're in masks because they were celebrating their High Lord. Later on, we learned that he gets his wealth because of tithes from his people. It's such a different court than the Night Court, but also different than the Autumn Court, different than the Winter Court. Like, they're all so unique.
They are all different. Rhys doesn't want wealth for himself and take tithes. What he really wants is for all the people of Valeris to be happy and safe. I'm a bad guy. It's so it's such a big part of fairy lore that I love that SJM doesn't just accidentally fall into it. She dives into the 12-foot Olympic pool of masks and fae. Masks in general are what started out this book.
I only have 2 more things, and they're kind of tied together.
Yeah, I have a bunch of like little stuff that I just put in. Like, if we don't have enough to talk about, it'd be filler. But we had so much to talk about, I don't even need to talk about them. What do you still have to talk about?
The thing I wanted to talk about was the continuation from the conversation last week where we were talking about magic and how we see it, how it is in this world. Because last episode it was she could smell the tang of it.
Oh, yeah.
But in this chapter chunk, we have her seeing magic. She sees glittering shapes behind her when there's the 2 people. She hears them and sees them, and she senses that they wanted to play. But then when we meet the Bogge, there's a point where Lucien is saying, don't look at it, don't acknowledge it. But she still sees a glittering shape to her side. So even though she's not acknowledging it, she's seeing it. She sees magic. What does it mean?
In these chapters, she sees the shimmering in the corner of her eye, and then she turns around and sees a statue of 2 lambs. So we know that when she sees them and hears them, it sounds like 2. She turns around, there's these statues of 2 lambs. I want to pay attention in the future when we are rereading all of these. Do we ever see statues of lambs? Do we ever see lambs again? What do they represent? Because as far as I remember, we never find out what these 2 things are. I can't remember. Please go and say more because I can't remember.
So, I wonder if part of Tamlin's spell over the other servants is if she sees them, she sees a different shape. So maybe she sees them out of the corner of her eye, and when she turns back because of the spell, she sees a statue of 2 lambs instead of the fae. But I don't know that we ever find out who they are, but I wonder if Alice at some point says she has 2 nephews or 2 children and she sends them away.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if those are them. Where they're just kind of following, because Alice is the one that calls her and she's like, Feyre, Feyre, it's time for lunch. She's the one that distracts her from the 2 shapes.
Maybe she's just not actually sent her children away. They're there, but she's trying to keep them hidden because she still doesn't trust Feyre.
I don't know. We will find out. Maybe, or maybe not.
Or maybe not. I feel like there's so many things that we never find out. Kat, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Nope. I think that's all I got for this episode.
Okay, great. So all of you guys, if you want to like and subscribe on YouTube, you can follow us on multiple different podcasting apps. Also, SJ Masterclass. Masterclass is MAAS. Masterclass, 2 A's. And you can send us an email. You can put in comments on YouTube. We'd love to read through those and get into some of your guys' ideas. And also we have Instagram and we have TikTok if you'd like to get in touch with us. On that note, Kat, anything else you want to add that I maybe missed about following us and giving us feedback?
I think you knocked it out of the park.
Great.
Why don't we want to meet up for some Margs?
I'd love to. Let's go edit this episode and grab some Mars. Can I see you in 15?
Let's do it. Bye, guys.
I love it. Bye.